Hi, everyone. It's Jolene with It's Just Lunch, an elite private search. I am here today with Anne and Scott Travis. They are the hosts of the popular podcast, Thou Shalt Not Kill, a podcast about marriage. And I had the privilege of meeting this amazing couple, last month. And I don't know, they just spoke to me. You can see them here, their energy is like pretty amazing, just even on screen. So I thought I would do an interesting twist about like interviewing people for our singles that are thriving in a relationship and marriage, and directing you to resources, listening to a couple of talk about marriage, right? Instead of always listening to being single and what's wrong with dating and what's not working. Instead, let's have a different conversation about what it's like to, like that you already know the tools and you already have them inside. And then you just need the reminders of like, oh, I can do this. I can thrive too, right? So welcome, you two.
Thank you.
And happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
I am wearing my Saint Valentine shirt.
Very cute. I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Valentine?
Yeah, you're stuck
Cool.
with me,
We're
buddy.
good.
So introduce yourself, please.
Okay.
I'm Anne Travis.
And
and
And I'm Scott Travis. And we have a podcast on Thou Shalt Not Kill, a podcast on marriage. And we just bring up our life experiences, our ups and our downs and everything that we've done through 35 years of marriage. We don't look that old, and I don't really care. We don't look that old, but we are old.
Yeah.
No, we kind of go through what I think everybody goes through is the life challenges that we face every day, whether it was early in our marriage, growing up kids, and now, the empty nesters where we're just living our life and having a blast.
And we weren't always nailing marriage. So in the beginning, it was really rough for us. We did a lot of power struggling and really, frankly, wasted a lot of time on bullshit. Excuse my language. But I didn't say that word. We figured it out and we're navigating it, and we're thoroughly loving life, loving marriage, loving being together. So it's possible. It's definitely possible.
It's just been a lot of communication. That's our biggest thing, is communication.
Mm-hmm.
Until we got the communication down, and literally we only learned that in the last 10 or 12 years. I mean, we've really had to work on that part of our marriage, because you come into a marriage with high expectations of what you expect your partner to do rather than what you expect, than what you expect yourself to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the whole
frustration comes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of a little bit about us. I mean, we've been business owners. We've owned our own companies for years. We've
Separately or together?
Separately. So she had a landscape construction business. I had a swimming pool business. I did mine for 28 years. She did hers for 17.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't touch each other, but we had two A personalities in the house that are running $1 million companies, separate but together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a battle in itself. And raising three kids. That's, having 3 kids. We had some drug issues with one of our kids. We've had, we've gone through the gamut, drug addiction, suicidal thoughts, kids, births, life, death
of parents.
I mean, so we've been through a lot of it. And here's the one thing that I find really fascinating. Some people say, well, you don't really understand what going through a divorce is and everything else. Well, we come from 13 marriages. So it's like
we don't understand divorce.
You don't understand what's going on in a divorce. Well, my mom and dad, between my egg and sperm donor and her egg and sperm donor, we're the 13th marriage. So with multiple marriages in our house, we understand stuff.
Like we get it.
We get it. Yeah.
We may not have been personally divorced, but we understand divorce.
We've lived it.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of roundabout.
You know what? I really actually love that. Not to stray too far off topic, but I really love that you just said that, because I did recently connect with a woman who assumed because she had been divorced that no one understands it, and she does. And I felt like that's not true. Anyone can understand divorce if they've been touched by it, or same thing with the classification of married, divorced, single, widowed. A lot of people will come to us and they'll, they're really afraid of the question, why are you single? And one, I think it's a terrible question to ask on a date, but it does get asked all the time. And then people start feeling like, I don't want to be judged. Why are you single?
By themselves, right?
Yeah. So, I really try to have a culture here where it doesn't matter if you've never had a relationship and you're 60 years old. It doesn't matter if you've been divorced 3 times. It doesn't matter if you had a terrible marriage and your husband or wife died and now you're like, I want to be in love, right? Like none of it matters. Right.
No.
There's everybody is dateable, likable, lovable. And so I really wanted to actually, I just want to hear the story of how you two met.
Okay. Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I can go.
Okay.
So
I'll correct her when she's wrong. But that's okay.
As he does frequently. So we met at Mervyn's department store.
Oh, nice.
We were both working at Mervyn's. Keep in mind, we've been married 35 years. So this is
Right.
a long time ago. Scott was in the men's department, which was a direct shot. I could see him from the domestics department where I was working. And at the time I was dating somebody else. And I dated this other person for 2 years. And literally the weekend I broke up with him, I ran into Scott, and that was the beginning of our courtship. And
So-
6 months later we were engaged, and 6 months later we were married.
So I saw Anne when we were working together, and I was 18 years old, and she's a little bit
I was
older,
21.
and she's older than me. So I couldn't, where she can go out to the bars and drink everything else, I was still, a young guy. But I actually, the first time I saw her, I went home and told my wife, and I tell the story all the time. I told my wife, I told my mom. I know.
That's not a Freudian slip.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
No, I went home and told my mom, I said, I met the girl I'm going to marry. And she's like, okay, you're 18 years old. Go
take a shower.
Go take a cold shower and get back with me. And we knew each other off and on. And I knew that she kind of liked me. And I really kind of I thought her cheese was pretty cool. So I would bring in the girls that I was dating to introduce to her, just to make her mad, just to say,
make me mad.
You're missing out on me. It's like, stop dating this guy. It's all good. So, long story short is I was moving out of my house and onto my own, and her number fell out of I hadn't talked to her in about 6 months or so. And her number fell out of my phone book when we used to have phone books. And her name popped up. I gave her a call and said, hey, I'm having a housewarming party and we're doing it on my 21st birthday. And she had just happened to break up with her boyfriend. We kind of hooked up, got together. And 6 months later, I asked her to marry me. And 6 months after that, I mean, it was like, I was on a quest. I knew I wanted to be married. I knew I wanted to be married to her, and there was nothing going to stop me to do that. So
I love that you said that too, because that is still so relevant today. So let's say that, someone has been married, let's just say it's the choice that someone makes that they decide. So a lot of our clients, when they come to us, they know what they want. They're very clear on who they are, what they want. They've already made the choice. And that seems to be always the determining factor of like how, if it works, in my opinion, right? Someone's character, someone's open-minded, but it's the choice. Did they decide that this is what they want? And you just did it at 18. It's awesome.
It's cool that he had that intention. And that's what I love about what you guys are doing, is that these people are coming into this with the intention of being a quality person in their life. And that's so crucial.
And looking back on it, I mean, because I got married when I was 21 and Anne was 24.
Keep in mind, I had dated someone for 2 years during.
Yeah. So I understand. I mean, it's going to be a different concept, being older and going back out into that dating world. I don't know what I would do and how I would do it. I'm just saying, for us, we got married so young, which, I mean, we look back on it and I say, we never were prepared to get married at 21. I mean, we were just not. I mean, let's just be honest.
Oh yeah, we really.
No,
struggled.
I mean, it was a struggle.
Well, we have strong personalities, so there was big power struggles going on.
But I can see now.
I gave.
But I can see now, if you're going into a second relationship, or if you're going into a new marriage, or you've never been married before, it's like setting the intention on what you want, and not really. I want to say, don't compromise. Do not compromise on your values, your morals, your wants, your needs. We say it on our podcast too. It's like there is hard yeses in our marriage, and there's hard no's, and we know that. There's no
boundaries provide security.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So you set those boundaries and you respect those boundaries. It just provides security.
There's no
what
questions.
you're dealing with. Yeah. There's no questions. There's no gray areas.
Yeah.
There are gray areas, but yeah.
And did you guys ever talk about divorcing?
One time.
One time.
Mhm.
So that was my one thing that I had heard enough in my life, and I heard it used as a weapon and as a tool and as to end an argument and everything else. So we were in a fight, a heavy discussion fight, one time.
Heated, very heated.
Very heated. And Ann comes up to me and she goes, "I want a divorce." And I said, "I will grant you a divorce." I said, "That word is never allowed in my house." I go, plain and simple. I said, "If you say it at one more time, I will have papers drawn up. I will not argue with you. I am not going to play this game." So it was like there's my hard no. Don't ever effing say that word. Don't.
Never
Yeah.
came.
And it never came up again. So I think that like there really has to be you have to be strong in your convictions on what you're willing to accept. And I think that
Totally.
that's,
And I think establishing that from the get-go
Yeah.
will eliminate a lot of misunderstandings and confusion.
yeah, she knew exactly where I stood.
Mhm.
There was no question about it, and I know that there's certain things that she stands strong on too.
We can't go off too long on these
I'm sorry,
topics
go
because
ahead.
there's more than one.
Yeah.
No, but you guys are making a really, really good point, right? Because one of the questions that'll come up is, when is it too early to really dig in the dating world? Because these people are adults. They know what their deal breakers are. So,
Really?
when I tell them, I say, listen, date 1 and 2, just kind of like figure it out if you guys mutually like each other. But date
Right.
3, dig in, draw
Because-
your lines.
We just did that on a podcast.
We just did this last week, I
the
think,
dating
yeah.
and courtship, and that go
Mhm.
ahead.
So we
Yeah.
talked about dating is getting to know somebody. First couple dates, you get to know if you want to go out with them again. And as that process goes, you start to understand if you want to spend more time with this person. Maybe you're completely obsessed with this person. Maybe you have nothing in common and you don't like this person. So it's really easy to cut bait at that point and move on and continue in your quest for finding that quality person. Once you guys, in our opinion, once you decide to be exclusive, now the courtship initiates.
Right.
So now that you've decided that you're not going to date any other people, there's no other people in this relationship, now the courtship starts. And I think at that point is when you really start to analyze who you're with and to start discussing the things that, start discussing money, start discussing religion, start discussing politics, all of these things that you're going to have in common, family
Or not in
planning,
common.
whatever, or not in common. This
See,
is a time to establish that. I
and
don't
we-
necessarily think dating is a stage for that, because why show all your cards when you're just going out to dinner? It just-
Yeah.
There's a-
It's too emotionally, it's almost forcing intimacy is what it
Right.
is.
Well, here's what, and
Exactly.
I'm glad that you kind of went through
That's a
that
great
because
phrase.
because
Yeah.
we were dating, we knew each other. I totally knew what I wanted, my intentions were with her, and I would tell her that.
His
But
intentions were very clear. Yeah.
but the thing about this is we had sex with other people and all this other stuff, but we specifically sat down and talked about this. It's like, I do not want to have sex with you. I want to know you.
Yes.
And so what happened with that, I believe what happened with that is we really got into the stuff rather than I love her body, I want to make love to her all the time. It eliminates all that stuff. Having sex is great, but once you start having it, you're never going to stop. And that's what I've always said. I've said that with my kids. I've said that. So be sure your intention is, if you're going to give up yourself, and this may sound really Pollyanna and everything else, but sex is always going to be there. Her body's a playpen, my body's a playpen. We can do whatever we want. But if you get past, if you go and have great sex and the sex is the best sex you've ever had and everything is wonderful, but then the guy or the woman doesn't have the same beliefs that you do, it's like that puts this big cloud in your head. It's like, well, I really like this part of him or her, but I can't deal with that part. And then then the emotions just get screwed. I'm sorry.
No,
Go
you're
on.
fine.
I'm
No, so I
rambling.
think.
No, it's true. Yeah. Take sex off the table for a little bit.
Yeah.
And what that did is, instead of having sex all the time,
We talked.
we talked. We
Yeah.
talked about every topic under the sun. I mean,
Where we
had
wanted to
no
live,
confusion going into
how many
our
kids we
marriage.
wanted, where we wanted to live,
Mhm.
all this other stuff. And this, now mind you, I'm 21 years old and I'm telling her exactly.
Yeah, our hormones are firing, but
Oh,
we're sticking with this. And so for
Yeah.
the first 4 months,
First 4 months, we
I mean,
didn't
we
even
didn't wait
touch.
till marriage, but for the first 4 months, we did not,
No,
no petting, no
nothing.
making out. I mean, we would kiss.
Yeah, we make out, but I mean,
but-
nothing above the clothes, under the clothes. There was like, but we were
Awesome.
like intently saying that we understand that that's going to happen.
We had a plan and an intention,
Yeah, we
which is
understand.
kind of surprising for us at that age, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's wild, but I love it because what it's really kicking in right now is the clients that can go ahead at, let's say, in their 50s, 60s, 70s, even, they can not be tied to the past relationships, they can shed themselves, and they can come in to meet someone new, acknowledge a connection, and then say, hey, let's do this the right way, whatever the right way is for them. But that looks like exactly what you're talking about, and had that deep intuition so early on to say, this is important, you know? So let me ask you guys this. Have you guys talked about death?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
As far as, let me make sure I understand. Like, if she were to die and I were to, and then I would be living, or I die and she'd be living.
Right.
Like,
So,
what's our
and
next
what
step?
have you guys negotiated around it? And what, you know, what have you guys decided?
As far as if to move on to another relationship afterwards.
Yeah.
So Anna's, I don't want to be talking the whole time. So
No,
Anna's literally said, I want you to marry when I get,
I want him to remarry.
if you are a person that cannot be alone. Now, me, I don't understand that. I mean, for my understanding right now, I can't ever vision that. Now, will that happen? Maybe. I want her to get married. See, that's weird. It's weird.
It's just an important conversation to have.
Yeah.
Well, we want each other to be happy. So you still, who knows how many years you have left at that point? I don't know, but I want him to spend those years
happy.
Happy.
Yeah.
So whatever that looks like.
Whatever
that
looks like.
Great quote that
lives with somebody.
I guess
he will have a relationship in his life because that's how he's wired.
We've given each other permission to live after we die.
100%.
That's what I guess that's what I want to say.
Yeah.
If marrying is what you want to do and you fall in love, then you have my complete blessing. I want you to go and be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I work with a lot of widow and widowers. And so I obviously don't work with the camp of people that say, you know, I married one person for the rest of my life and that is it. And there's plenty of people like that, and it's fine. And it's just, you can live however you want.
Right.
But I work with the couples that, you know, go, it was great. I want to do it again. And I want to do it differently. And I feel like a different person. And so they're excited, they're motivated. They don't feel that they're, you know, well, I have had some people feel like, gosh, the first time I kind of felt like I was cheating, you know, and they're, you know, it's a little weird feeling.
Yeah.
It's a little weird feeling when you've been married 40, 50 years, you know, and you're like,
am I body for all these years? Yeah. That would be awkward. I can
it's really, I mean, it's interesting because I said that I would just be a complete bachelor and date everybody and have sex with everybody I wanted to, which that's not me. I've never dated never dated two women at the same time. So it's like one of those things. It's like, you know, if you're blind, what color is blue? I don't know what that is. I have no idea. So
Scott's name is under monogamy in the dictionary. I swear. So
clearly, right? You know, he knew at 18
what
he wanted.
So great. Yeah.
It's so powerful. This conversation is so powerful for so many reasons, right? The intention. I do really like in your podcast, you really talk about two people, one goal, and then you do talk about goal setting. And it's a little bit like we just discussed with, you know, how you guys have had a conversation around death. You know, a lot of people haven't yet. And I would encourage anyone who is dating or has a partner to have that conversation, to have all of the conversations.
Because if you don't have that conversation, the person who survived is going to have so much guilt associated with moving on. Yeah. And if you can just give your partner that permission and that blessing, think of all the trauma that you release for that partner. So if they do want to go on, because Scott loves,
they can just grieve.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love love.
Scott, we both love love.
I do.
You know, it's hard to wrap your head around going on to another partner, but neither one of us are like solitary people. So
well, all of the research I've been, you know, doing lately has been with over 60, you know, the benefit of even just being in the dating world is helping people have better relationships with their adult children, have better relationships, have better health, have better self-esteem. I mean, the rewards of staying in, you know, desirable and attractive, you know, is really, really outweighing. You know, then you don't have to, now you're not moving in with your kids. You're 100%, you know, like, at 80, you know, you're still rocking it.
Exactly. So I'm 60 years old, and I am living the best life I have lived right now. And a lot of that is because the child rearing is behind us. Not that I didn't love those years. I did love those years. Our businesses now pretty much are behind us. Scott still has a business, but, and now we're growing. Like we have experienced so much growth in the last 2 years. And a lot of it has just been by opening our minds, listening to
happens-
other people, bringing other people into our world.
Yeah, what happens, I
And-
think, when you get to a certain age, you've always done it this way, so you're always going to
Mhm.
continue to do it that way.
Get out of your rut.
And
It doesn't serve you.
Yeah, we just decided all of a sudden, when the last one was out of the house, probably about a year and a half afterwards, like, we don't have to stay here.
Mm-mm.
We can do whatever we want. And that's what we did. We sold everything. We sold our house, we sold everything, and we just moved, and we said, we're going to be nomads.
Yeah.
And I understand that not everybody can do that. And, we're blessed that we've done fairly well, but don't keep doing the same thing. I mean, if you keep dating the same person expecting a different result, that's where you're messed up.
Yeah.
You have someone programming. It's like, well, I'm never going to date a woman that's over X age, or a woman that's over 150 pounds, or whatever. It's
you
like,
lose so many options when you set those
Yeah.
boundaries on yourself. Who knows that you wouldn't meet someone that's overweight that you totally dig? I mean, it doesn't matter. The thing is, don't get stuck in your narrative. Your narrative can always change.
Yeah.
Change your
Yeah.
narrative. Change it up.
Change
See
it.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Don't get stuck in a rut and stay there. Don't dig your heels in and be stubborn, because
Because
there's so
everyone,
many wonderful options out there. There's amazing people.
Yeah.
And I think keeping yourself in shape and keeping yourself attractive serves you, because you feel better about yourself. And I don't know. I mean, even if you're just out dating for companionship, do it. Get out there, meet people. There's so many great people out there.
Yeah, that's really, why I'm excited about, this second half of life, relationship. I do think that this is a valuable conversation for a lot of the men and women who haven't yet married and they're approaching their 40s, and they haven't, they focused on themselves, their education, their world travel. They did a lot of these things. And now they're like,
yeah,
I better get on it, So there's
Right.
that crowd, but then there's the other crowd too, who have already done life. And then they were like, they decided to part ways, or death took one of their partners. And then they're like, hold on, is it available to me? Can I go create? And that's what I love what you said. It doesn't have to be go live as nomads, but it can be whatever you create.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
exactly.
all these options out there
inspiring.
now. Yeah. And I mean, the thing that we're celebrating right now that we're so grateful for is freedom. Like, we have all this freedom now. We can do pretty much whatever we want. We're not accountable to children anymore. We're
But
not
I think our freedom,
accountable to
I
parents.
think our freedom is even better because we're on the same path. We
Well,
know,
yeah.
we know where each other wants to go. We know that if we take a detour, we can come right back on to where we want to go to. We could take a break from, the hustle and bustle and just be together. It's like,
Yes.
let's connect. That's a
Yeah.
great one. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We do.
Well, I sometimes think that, like, dating, a lot of people with the fears, obviously, and insecurities that come with it, they'll meet someone and it's really a process of elimination instead of a process of discovery. Who are you? And
Right.
so what I think you guys have done so masterfully, is that, if that's the word, is you guys are in constant discovery of who you are as individuals now. And
100%.
it's like it's radiating off of you guys, and that's how I feel, and that's why it's so exciting. Like, you just know you're aligned.
Mhm.
And so I got to ask you about the dreadlocks. Like, to me, that's like, that was a team decision.
It was a team decision.
Actually, it wasn't.
are very
Hold on a
recent.
second. It was not a team decision. Let's
No, it
just
kind
go.
of was, but you tell your story.
Hold on a
Go
second.
ahead.
No, I'm saying you had no intention on getting them until I got them.
Until you got them.
There
That's
you
not
go.
really true, because we had gone out to dinner with another couple.
Yeah.
We were at a engagement party. So this other couple with dreads was sitting across from us, and we just loved it.
And
I'm like, you
my
guys
whole
look
thing,
so good with your dreads.
my whole
so
thing
then
with
he got
my
them first.
identity, like I've always changed my hair. I've always changed my appearance. You can ask her. I'll go from one extreme to the next just because I want to constantly be.
Well, and I don't think you've told anyone you're an artist yet on the call, but
Yeah, I'm an artist. So
yeah.
So my thing is I've never had dreadlocks. I'm 57 years old. It's like, I don't give a shit what you think about me. I really don't. I mean, I don't care. If you like them, great. If you don't, and I'm just trying to, and I'm in my midlife crisis, whatever you think. It doesn't.
You're way cheaper than a sports car.
Yeah. But
midlife. Listen, it's good to be 57 and in a midlife crisis.
yeah,
But it is.
the thing about it is, for me though, there's more to the dreadlocks for me than just having them. It's a process of, like, I want to say, like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, which is a really weird thing. But like, from where I came from in my art and where I want to go and where I'm at right now, I feel a lot more free. I feel way more comfortable. And within that, there's a method behind why I did the dreadlocks. So it's going to further me along. And then what happened is once I got them, she's like, oh, I totally dig them. And I'm like, rock them, go do it. So next week she did them. I think they're great. I love
We're having fun with it.
We're having fun.
I love it. And, you know, it's, to me, it just made me go, that's a team. Do you know what I mean? Like that's where I was just like, you guys are so in sync. And, you know, so maybe you guys can answer a question, you know, because a lot of people use their rational mind to pick a partner, right? And so usually that is not a lot of freedom in that. You know, there's a lot of control around picking a partner. So what do you guys think about couples that are not in sync because they don't have history, they don't have children, they don't have anything shared together, right?
That yet, right?
Yeah, they haven't established it. There's nothing. I mean, all they can do is the connection. So what if they are opposites, right? Because you've lived so much life at this point, you know? So how do you guys see coming together, maybe beyond conversation, but coming together where you could sync up easier? You know, I hope I'm explaining myself, but.
So I think for us, we get involved in each other's hobbies. So I've been to car part swap meets. I've been to a million car shows. We picked up golf together. I think establishing hobbies together or supporting each other in your hobbies or whatever you're passionate about really establishes connection. And then you have that commonality of that thing that you're doing on the regular together.
Well, I think the thing about it is it's being vulnerable to your partner or to your future partner's needs and wants. So I never had a desire to learn about antiques. Okay. I mean, and this is where the trade-off comes. It's like, I didn't give two shits about antique cups and teacups, but I'll tell you what, I'm pretty damn.
He knows a lot about.
I know a lot about teacups only because of my proximity to her and wanting to understand what made her happy. That's the whole thing. It's like,
so key.
And
right
she was trying to understand what made me happy while I was going through the car phase and the motorcycle and the boats and all the other stuff, but we did it together. Now, did she like it the whole time? Absolutely not. Did I like it? Hell no, I didn't. It was one of those things where it was just like, I really am bored with this, but I know that I see the look in her face when, I see the look in her face when she's happy with that. I want to make sure that I'm part of being happy with her. That's all it is. Did I care about what we did? It was just a matter of spending more time together. And that was it. It was the connection. When I guess the thing is go outside your comfort level to connect, and you can connect from a different angle when you do that. And that's what we've done.
I think the point I would take out of that my takeaway is, I think the mistake that a lot of people make going into partnerships or relationships is looking for what the other person can do for them, right?
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Judging that person by their value of what they're doing for them, how they're doing for them. Let's go the other way. Bring into your relationship, as your relationship grows and you become close to this person, what can I do for them? How can I make them happy? And when you flip that around, it just revolutionizes your whole relationship. There's
a crazy dichotomy there too, because when I'm trying to make her happy or when she's trying to make me happy, inevitably it's gonna make the other person happy because you're trying to get on the same level. And I hope I'm explaining this right.
Yes.
If I'm trying to make her happy, what's that's gonna do is gonna force her and push her to conversely make me happy, because it's one of these where it's like, well, I don't want to be outdone by you. And I'm not saying it's not keeping score by any stretch of imagination.
No, it's the better it gets, the better it gets.
Exactly.
It's flipping it.
It's flipping the switch.
Because now I'm not criticizing Scott. I'm not looking at him like thinking, well, he's not doing enough for me. Ultimately, it's my own responsibility to be happy. Right?
Absolutely.
And it's Scott's own responsibility to be happy. But what can I do to make your experience with me better?
Yeah.
As opposed to what can you do to make my experience with you better? So in giving to that person, you receive so much more than looking at that person for.
But there's a
what they
point.
Can do for
there's
you,
a certain
if that makes sense.
You have to be careful in it too, especially in the early parts of dating in your relationship, because there might just be a soul sucker that you're dating. It's like, well, you just keep giving me. You keep giving me. I don't think I have to return the favor. Where then you're going to have to like look in your head, no matter what I do, this
It
person
just keeps taking.
just keeps taking and taking, and I don't get filled back up. I hate love bank and all that other bullshit that
Right.
But
people
that's
say.
not-
But
that's
it's
not the
but
right
we
person.
but we call
Yeah.
it, but we do call it a bank, where it's like I keep making deposits because
We both do.
yeah, no, I know. I'm going to keep making her happy. I'm going to keep doing what makes her happy, because I know if there's some day that I screw up, or I forget a birthday, or I forget something that's really, all that stuff to us is trivial. We don't even, I mean, I said just this last week, I'm not having any more birthdays. I don't really care about my birthday anymore. And it doesn't matter about like Valentine's Day. I think we told you about Valentine's Day. It's like we have one card for the
10
past 12 years.
12 years, yeah.
It's not even signed.
No.
I'm going to tell that story like 10 more times today.
Yeah. Because here's the deal.
It's like a private
Every day is
joke now.
Valentine's.
Yeah.
Every day is Valentine's Day. Every day is Christmas test. Every
Every
day
day is
is our
birthday.
anniversary.
If we want something, we buy it. So it's so silly that we have to have these holidays or birthdays. It almost seems like a setup. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if you don't come to the table good enough on Valentine's Day, we're gonna have a big argument about
Yeah.
it. If you don't really show up for my birthday, I'm gonna be hurt. We don't even.
But I show up,
Yeah.
but the thing is we both
He
show
shows
up.
up every day.
We show up to
Yeah.
each other on Tuesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or Saturday at 2 o'clock in the morning, or it's just like we're always there. You don't make a Hallmark holiday your basis of relationship. Stupid.
Or the impetus for an argument. It
Yeah.
just.
Yeah. It's
Well,
stupid.
you know what, actually, it's a really good point you guys are making about, and to put it into dating, like date 1, date 2, right? Is that a lot of times they're taking, entertain me on this first date. What can I get out of this first date? Who are you? Are you a good fit for me? And what you want to do on every time you connect with someone is you don't want to sit there and go, who are they for me? You just want to say, how can I show up and make this person feel heard, seen, special, unique?
Oh my gosh.
And that is the key to a great first date.
Heard.
That's the key to any relationship, honestly, is
Yeah.
hearing somebody, listening and hearing. Because our huge thing is communication. But what we hear time after time after time with people that are struggling with their relationship is that their partner isn't listening.
And what's interesting about that after 35 years, we just went through this. I told her, I said, you hear me, but you're not listening to me on a certain subject. And it's like,
he's
it's totally,
right.
and it's totally cool because she doesn't take it as I'm picking a fight. It's like, we're open to criticism for each other. If she tells me that I'm doing something wrong, I'm like, that's bullshit. You're not gonna, it's like, I don't come up to their defense. It's taken a long time for me to understand that. But if we get into an argument, a discussion, or, a fight, it literally lasts 10 minutes.
Right.
And it doesn't last 2 weeks like it used to.
And there's
It's
no
like-
lingering resentment. There's no, we might address it again.
Yeah,
But
it's,
we're not living in that space of resentment and
yeah. Get rid of
holding
this.
a grudge. Don't
We've
don't do
learned,
that.
I think what we've mastered, if we've mastered it yet, is the art of listening to what the other person is saying, identifying the problem, correcting the problem, and moving on. It's very succinct that we do. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but literally,
Pretty
I'm
much
pissed off.
now.
I'm pissed off at you because you did this. Okay, I hear what you're saying. There might be a reason why I did that. I'm not making an excuse, but this is my reason. Discussion, conclusion, move on.
And it doesn't always have to be an argument. It can just be a quick discussion. So the other day, Scott goes, well, you don't do anything all day. And I'm like, okay, let me just step in.
You want to rewind and say that again?
Let's
Yeah, no,
rewind. And I wasn't angry about it, but I
Yeah.
said, don't
Right.
assume that because I'm efficient at what I do, that I'm not doing anything.
and she was
Right.
right.
And we left it at that. I mean, it could have been a big thing where I was super butthurt because Scott said, you don't do anything all day and blah, blah, blah. I know what I'm doing. And
And-
I have a great life. I don't do a lot all day, but what I do well, and it's done and quick and it's over. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and I think that, what I'm gaining from the whole conversation is, when people are meeting, for the first time, and
Right.
they're hopeful of having a special connection,
Mhm.
I think what the main message is one, that your new relationship is not going to be any different than anyone. Like, you two don't have anything that they don't have to
Right.
make it work the next 4 decades, right?
You're right.
They have it. And but there is hey, do you want to go do this together? Do you want to make something great happen? It's available to us. Do you see
Right.
the opportunity? You know, and if you meet someone that the effort there and the opportunity is there, it's like, okay, come on, let's go get dreads.
Yeah.
Let's go try that out together. And that's
Awesome.
why I love your vibe so much.
Well, I think
Sweet.
I think the thing is too, is like when we have an opportunity to do something, like I've had anxiety my whole life. I worry about shit. I've got this,
Overthinks.
I overthink things and stuff. So it's a matter of pushing outside your comfort zone. And I know that that's an easy catch-all.
No, I really appreciate you bringing this up because anxiety is a huge thing that hold people back from being able to connect with someone in a very authentic way.
Yeah.
So
And I
it's
mean,
very relevant.
through our relationship, it's like I never used to travel. So literally we travel
Whenever we get a chance.
the COVID thing has really screwed us up,
Yeah, it
whatever.
always does screw us up.
And Anne wanted to try scuba diving. I don't like underneath the water. I mean, I just was I'm claustrophobic, all this other stuff. But I did it. But I did it because I had to break outside of my box, what it was. Now the thing about it is I scuba dived for a few years, didn't like any time that I ever scuba dive. I could tell you horror stories of all my scuba diving trips, but I did it. And now it's just like, I don't want to do it anymore. It's
Then
like,
we just came to a mutual understanding that this probably wasn't the best option.
yeah,
Right.
but go outside and listen. Like I was saying, it's like Anne loved antique glass and antique teacups and everything else. And we had a business doing that. I had no desire to figure that out and everything else. But being in proximity to her, I saw what made her happy.
Just support your partner's passion. But
Yeah.
when you're
Huge.
when you're dating, like just be open-minded.
Yeah.
Be laser focused.
So
Don't pay attention to red flags or whatever, but also be open-minded because there's some really cool different ways of being out there with people that just bring different things to the table.
well, and that's what I think, like, you know, to go off of what you're saying is, you know, it's not about even avoiding red flags. It's about allowing some space to even have the real red flags play out or see it. You know, and I always tell everybody, I say, listen, when you're dating someone, you guys have decided mutually, I'm into you, you're into me. We both want long-term monogamy. Okay. Are we exclusive? Yes. Great. Are we going steady? Awesome. Okay. Now the work begins. And instead of just digging into a therapy and making it all about the tough conversations, plan like a dozen super cool dates. Go be a tourist in your own city. Go grab a camera and say, hey, let's go check out like weird stuff and take photos all day. Like, you know, just create times. Hey, I want to go learn how to, I had a couple that, you know, she goes, I really want to learn how to fence. And the guy goes, all right, they took fencing lessons, you know? And so now the pressure is removed off of, are you and I going to get married? And now it's in, who are you? Do we like each other? How is this? And people have the space and time to really see someone for who they are. So I just really appreciate
I think a cool idea is just like one weekend or whatever it is. And I don't know if you're obviously only if you're exclusive, it's like, it's my weekend. You're going to do, and it sounds bad. You're going to do what I want to do. I'm going to show you my world. I'm going to show you my world and what excites me and turns me on and makes me happy and gets my blood flowing, whether that's skydiving, going and reading a book in a park, whatever it is, because you're going to know if that other person is like, oh, geez, I don't think I can get behind this. Or you're like, in your mind, you go, this sounds really boring. Then you go do it. You're like, man, my eyes just open up to a whole different world. You know what I mean?
Well, so let me end on this note. This could be a really fun idea. Okay. I would love to hear what your perfect like date or weekend or like the perfect way you would spend, you know, and just feel so loved and feel so connected. I'd love to hear that. Your dates, your perfect dates.
I'm waiting to hear because this might be a date. I need to hear this.
This is gonna I'm just gonna spit it out.
Go.
So we were in Southern California. His dad had surgery, and so in the Laguna Beach area, they have this thing called the Sawdust Festival, and it's all like artisans and stuff that are there. So we spent the day. We went down there. We went through the whole Sawdust Festival and had a great time. And then we were looking for a couple necklaces for me. And Scott had suggested these. So we were looking for the perfect necklace, and we spent the whole day shopping. And the whole day, for me, this was a great day because the whole day was kind of about me. Scott spoiled me rotten, bought me clothes, bought me jewelry, bought me all this fun stuff. But the thing that was so special about the date is that we were just so focused on each other. The whole day, there was no distractions. It was just the two of us. We weren't on our phones. We weren't, to me, it was just like seriously, one of my
Pretty Woman.
favorite
It was a
days.
Pretty Woman
It was
day.
a pretty woman
Totally.
day. Yeah,
And-
I
and-
was totally spoiled. And of course I enjoyed that part, but what I enjoyed about it was just not that Scott was popping out his credit card. It was that he was picking out things with me. He was totally in the process of, oh, I like this. Do you like this?
Here's the thing.
And
I
it was
can
fun.
bitch and complain because I don't like what she's wearing,
Mhm.
or I can take her out and show her what I like that
Mhm.
that I like and buy it for her if she likes it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
it was.
Yeah.
It was exactly what we did, and it was really weird because there's one particular necklace I was looking for, and it was
Mhm.
and I it's
Then we
it's
found a
nothing-
store with like a bunch of them.
bunch of
and we
them.
were
So we're like,
oh,
Christmas time. But
it
yeah,
was fun.
and honestly, I didn't even realize that until afterwards, and probably the next day, she said that was probably one of the funnest days I've had in years. And I was just
Yeah.
like, and for me, it was just like I was just spending time with my wife. And again, every day for us is Christmas. If you
Mhm.
want something, you just get it. And it's
But
and it's not a monetary. I don't want it to think I'm just saying it's just a monetary. We have to throw money at
Uh-uh.
your partner. It's
That
not
wasn't
at
the
all.
point of the day.
At
The point
all.
of the day was that he was so focused
Yeah.
on helping me find things that he wanted to see on me or that he
Yeah.
thought that I would enjoy. That's where all the pleasure came from, was the focus on each other and
Yeah,
closeness it created. That whole day was just special.
Yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
My perfect date, I honestly is like we traveled quite a bit, is just being on a different island and just being in the middle of nowhere where we don't know anybody. It's here's the thing is I like it when we don't know anybody and nobody knows us and it's her and I, and we just know that we can kill it. Wherever we're at, we can kill it.
Connect, just meet different people, see different
Yeah.
things, enjoy.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
meeting other people. It's so
Yeah.
fun.
So it's fun.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
taking work.
Well, it is interesting too. And I often wonder, is this something that we can apply? And this is actually my hope for this interview. Is this something we can apply, for the younger, couples who are starting out, right?
Yeah.
Or is this somewhere you get because people surrendered to each other and allowed, and then time came, and then the freedom with the kids, and do you get to where you're at without where you were, without the past? So it's interesting to me, and so for the adults that are already raised their kids and been through a lot of life experience, I think what they need to take away from this is that it's all about the connection from this point on and what you can create for your, together, because you don't have the responsibilities anymore. And so it gets a little tricky with clients who are like in their 40s and 50s and still raising kids, and building their businesses. That's a little tricky trying to come together. But, I think what you guys are trying to say is, let your partner evolve always and show up for them.
And show up for them. And I think if you can learn to nail your communication down, if you can establish that way of listening to each other, like really hearing what your partner is saying, and you learn to speak to each other respectfully without anger, without all that stuff, you're going to expedite that process by years. Literally, you will just jump ahead of the crew. So
that's what I wanted. You will jump ahead if you kind of just focus on the time together.
You eliminate what we've in our podcast. This is what our podcast is almost kind of like therapy for us, because we'll get on our podcast and we'll ask each other questions that we've never asked each other. It's like, and it's not that it's this deep hidden secret that I've been waiting to ask her, and this is the safe place where I can ask her, but it just kind of, it keeps us on the forefront of what we want. We want everything on the table. I want Ann to know everything on the table. I want her to know my good, my bad, my ugly, and conversely, I want all that happiness to be shared with her too.
We're super transparent in our podcast, because if we're trying to help people and we're trying to tell you the things that we struggled with and the solutions that we came by, it doesn't serve anybody if we're not completely transparent in that process.
Yeah, understand.
So a lot of stuff crops up that we didn't maybe work.
Didn't know.
I thought
we have 3 kids that we grew up in Las Vegas. She had her company with 30 employees. I had my company that I was running my business. We were like spread so thin, and our connection was, sex on every other Thursday if it wasn't raining. That's basically the way it was.
I get it.
Because we didn't connect. Our sex life was terrible. We say everything about it on our podcast. We don't, it's not as though we're like prudes and we're the perfect marriage, but the connection that we have is we've been honest, and we've just made sure that the other person knows where we're coming from.
And we're committed to each other. Like,
Well, and I love that, sorry to interrupt. I love that you said, I want Anne to know everything. And it's funny because I'm going, well, most people would assume Anne does because you guys have been together for 35 years. But I love that you're like, well, no, she doesn't. She'd be like, I want her to discover it. And that is, if people could tune in to that type of transparency on, early on in the dating thing where they just are like, and I'm not talking about oversharing, but just transparency of who they are owning. Here's what here's where I'm going. And do you want to come on board? And if not, hey, you're cool. Nice meeting you.
And the kick on that, the funny thing about that is I may have a goal where I want to go and tell her that's what we're going to go. But when we're together, maybe that's not the ultimate goal. Maybe we find a side street that we want to go down, and this is even better because
well, that's where the commitment comes into play.
right.
Exactly.
That's where the dedication and the commitment come into play, and you got to have all of it.
Well, you have
The
two
goal, the
perspectives.
vision.
You always
Yeah.
have perspectives. So you take those two perspectives and you blend them. And then from that point on, then you develop your goal and act on it.
And I was kind of going where I was starting before when we had the kids and we have all this other stuff, everything else. We had dedicated date night and we had dedicated board meetings, which sounds really weird.
Touch on those real quickly.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on those real quick. Our date night was her and I, no phones,
No kids.
whether we had sex in the back seat of the car or we ate dinner, or saw a movie. No, we literally would.
The driveway in front of the house.
Or the driveway in front of the house. Yeah, that was our date night.
Yeah.
Now we also had board meetings. I'm the CEO of my company, of my pool company. She's the CEO of her company. But together in our marriage, we're both the CEOs of our marriage. So we would go to a neutral spot. Yeah, we say this on our podcast, and we say this to all our people that have a business or they're connecting together. This is I think this was one of the major things that kept us on track of where we're at. We would go to a board meeting. I would have my list. If I'm the CEO, I want all my employees to know where my business is going. Right. She's my employee. I'm her employee when it comes to her business. So we would sit down and in a we always say we would go out to a restaurant because we can't yell at each other. You really can't. I mean, it's like,
that literally is why we did the restaurant.
We did. So I would sit there and say, listen, this week, my company, I'm not going to be home until 8:00 at night. I have a shit ton of stuff on my plate. I'm not going to be very happy. I've got a lot of this, So she knows for this next week, if I'm in a bad mood or
it's not about me,
it's not about you. It's not about, and conversely, she would tell me, I have this going on. I'm having trouble with this. I'm going to have some free time here, everything else. So we would leave the meeting knowing.
Well, hold on one second, because you're missing a crucial point. It wasn't only about work.
Oh, there you go.
It was also about the family.
Because CEO and our family.
Yeah, it was about talking about couples goals. Maybe we're on a board meeting and all we discuss that whole time is vacation.
Yeah.
Where do we want to go on vacation? Or who knows what we want to talk about, but it's a time where we're not interrupted by anybody else. The phones are set aside. We're writing down our goals and we're planning together where we're going from this point.
And it's not a date. In other words, we're not giving each other 100% of each other's focus. I want you to focus on me when I'm telling you what's going on in my company. And I want to focus on you, what's going on. And then conversely, let's figure out what we're doing with the kids, what we're going to do with our vacation. What are we going to do with the house? Are we going to move? We talked about moving. These were the things. Are we going to buy a new car? These were the things where we really got down to the nitty gritty.
Right. I love that. You took the emotions out of it and the trigger points and all of these things. And you said, hey, actually, we're just making a business plan right now. And maybe that's a great, way for clients to look at it is, when you're in these, when you've decided to go to the courtship, yes, set up great fun dates and get involved in each other, but also when you're having some of these tough conversations, or do it in a neutral place. Don't start playing house too quickly. Don't go over to dinner, on date 4 when you're not ready for it. Right. I have a couple that
dating. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, I was just saying, I have a couple that, they're really committed to, they're in their 70s. They're really committed to making this relationship work. And they decided the first time they would have sex would be, they would go to an amazing dinner, best place in San Francisco. They would, book a room for the weekend at the Four Seasons, and they would turn it into this amazing weekend where they could just feel ready, feel comfortable, not have to be like, oh God, he's in my space and I don't really know, And so I thought that's brilliant. Everybody should do everything like that.
Yeah, I agree.
And I love that there's love and romance in your 70s. I mean,
oh my gosh. Honestly, it's like the best age that, because then I got to be honest, there's no hangups. Our clients in our 70s, man, they're like, who are you? Tell me. They have time for lunch. They got time for drink. They're
Love it.
so open. It's amazing. It's the best age to date in.
That's what I'll tell you what, that's what started happening with us when we moved here a year or so ago. It's like our sex life went crazy, our communication, I really have to say, that's the one thing is really pretty much on point. There's times when we hiccup, and I mean, there was a time just a couple weeks ago, we were going to Las Vegas. So it's a 6.5 hour drive from here. And Ann was just pissed off. I mean, she was just mad.
Scott, I was
hold
just
on.
irritated.
She was mad. Like I could just tell in her face that she was just mad. And literally for 3.5 hours, she yelled in the truck. There's no getting away from me. I can't get about it. But I just held space for her to vent. She was mad at this person, that person. This wasn't going wrong. This wasn't going right. Now that wasn't a board meeting, but that was just Ann's frustration that she had to have an outlet. And I was and we were in a confined area. Nobody could hear what she was going. Now, mind you, after about 3.5, I said, stop yelling at me. She goes, I'm not yelling at you. I go, you're yelling at me only in the fact that you're yelling your problems. I said,
that creates a lot of stress on Scott, even though it's not directed at Scott. But
so here's the thing. So how that ended was I said, you need to stop yelling at me. And she didn't take offense to it. She was trying to explain that she wasn't. I'm like, okay, but I've given you your space. I can't take it anymore. I can't listen to you. But the thing about that is I didn't come at her mad. I came up with her with my hands up and said, listen, I've heard everything. You've dissected this problem every which way to Sunday. Stop, because now it's not doing any good for you. So I'm like her coach and saying, come on, I know you're not this person. You've got all your anger out. Now move on.
You have lizard brain.
So my takeaway was what a humongous gift he had given me by just letting me vent for 3 hours.
Not fix it. Yeah. Don't fix it. I wasn't
right. That's what I heard. I said, oh, and you didn't fix it. You just said, hey, I'm full. Yeah. I can't hear you anymore.
No, I can't do you anymore. Yeah. No, I really can't.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Yeah. My boyfriend and I, we have a tool like that as well. You know, when I feel like I'm going to explode, you know, I say, you know, I am a red hot hornet right now. And that's it. And he looks at me and I go, I can't, like, I have lizard brain. I'm all the triggered, you know, and I just say, I'm a red hot hornet right now. And then, and we're done.
Yeah.
There's no conversation until I can move through, you know?
That's great.
Yeah. It's great. I mean, it's funny, but it's like people ask, you know, all these things and they'll report back. I feel like I'm 16 again. I said, perfect. Then, you know, you're on the right track because you should feel this, you know, out of body, this like it should feel euphoric. It should feel different. It should feel like the unknown, you know, that's where we know, that's where our intuition is kicking in, right? That's where our rational mind is gone. And now we're just feeling, you know,
we're kind of in that, we're kind of in that zone.
Oh, I know. I can feel it.
We just live, and that's just it. And I think especially going back to dating, if I were to date right now, and here's my takeaway. If I were to date right now, I would have to have a strong woman, just like this, to listen to what I have to say, to not take offense to what I have to say, and understand that I may say things wrong, but I'm trying to get to a point where it's like, I want 100% transparency. I don't care if you don't like the way I dress or the way I smell or the way I have a beard or whatever it is. I'd rather you tell me that right up front and be completely honest. I'll tell Ann if she comes down and wearing something, it's like, I don't like, are you really going to wear that? But the thing about that is like, there's no, I think, especially in the dating world, I think we fill our heads with so much bull crap that we're willing to take just because we want to have the sex, or just because she's good arm candy, or he makes a lot of money, so it's going to be good for me. You know what? You can make a lot of money doing a lot of different things. You can change your clothes. You can do whatever you want, but be 100% for yourself, and then bring that to a relationship rather than bringing 50% of yourself and trying to mold it into whoever you're going to date or whoever you want your long-term partner to be, because it's never going to work out. There's going to be resentment, anger, fear, all that crap.
And I think the other takeaway is don't be in a hurry. No. I mean, take your time and find the right person. Don't settle, because if you settle, you're going to be paying off that mistake for years.
So don't settle, but absolutely choose. Because
Yes.
I see people on the
Yes.
dating wheel
Precisely.
for 10 years and they'll call me and they'll say, I said, you met 100 people. You didn't choose one. You couldn't
Yeah,
choose
right.
one,
Right.
like just start,
Nobody's
because you
perfect.
do have to just get in, dig in, and then see what happens, you
Get
know?
involved. Yeah, you're
That's
gonna
why
have
I
to get
think-
involved.
That's why I think the more honest you are up front, like on the dating thing,
Totally.
I think I like you were saying, like 2 or 3 dates and then you become committed, especially if you're older, quote unquote older, in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. It's like, understand that, I mean, we've lived our life the first 40 years. We've had our playing, we've had our partying and our, indiscriminate sex with anybody and all this other stuff. I think that
Speak for yourself.
but I think when it comes down to it, like you say, 2 or 3 dates, you kind of understand what the person is. Obviously, you're not going to know them 100%. And that's why I think if you're real and honest and give that person 100%, all of you in those 3 or 4
Yeah.
dates, whatever it is, and you expect the same, you have a courtship that's years
Right.
ahead, years ahead. It doesn't,
Right.
there's no games, it's like,
Just be honest.
yeah.
Be
Yeah.
honest who you are, be honest in what you want, communicate what you want, what you're looking for, and give people a chance.
And it took us a long time to get to that point. I mean, it
Mhm.
really did.
Well, and I think that's, your podcast. That's why I want a lot of these clients to start using resources that are going to give them the information from a different perspective than what is, if I'm going to Google dating and relationships, it's like, I should probably Google marriage, right? So
Yeah, because I think so much of what we're talking about isn't necessarily about marriage, it's about relationships.
totally. And
about
yourself and
You're gonna go to
building
someone-
that person.
if you're going to go to someone looking for advice that's in dating, my personal opinion, that has had shitty relationships, bad dating sites, everything else, you're going to go look to that person.
Don't listen to your friends, right?
Oh my
Like,
God. Well, that we
I
can go
tell,
on.
I tell
Yeah.
everyone, I go, they say, well, I called my friends. I said, just stop doing that right now. Just don't call them at all. They have no idea.
No,
We just talked about that recently
Yeah,
too.
we talked
Keep it close to the vest.
keep it.
Don't-
Yeah, no, nobody.
Keep it close to the vest.
Everybody
You know,
in. Yep.
Yeah, if I have a problem, I sometimes will call my clients, I'll say, don't even ask me. I said, turn around. I said, take that exact question that you just asked me, go call Bob.
Yeah.
Go call Bob and ask Bob. Because Bob is the only one that has the answer to that. I do not.
That's
You know?
good advice. I love that.
It's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love it. Well, I have to say thank you guys so
you.
very much from the bottom of my heart. I love the work you're doing. I think it's so important. And I love that you guys are in your late 50s and 60s and starting in that phase, because there's a lot of people that don't know what is possible out there. But the annoying thing is that there's a lot of the same people that they should be
Right.
meeting and connecting with. So I feel like this interview is like opening up a door that's like, all right, I still got it. I can go create great sex and great magic and hobbies and interests, and I can still be myself.
Yes.
Well, and
All that's possible.
and the thing about it is we've been obviously exclusive for probably 36 years, 37 years. And
Yeah.
I honestly,
37.
I think our sex life is the best we've had it right now.
Thank
And
you. And I think
there's
that's so important for
there's
people to
nothing-
know.
And I have to be perfectly honest, and she'll be honest too. We had some years that our sex life was
Sucked.
terrible. It was the
Yeah.
worst. It was the worst part of our marriage. And we talk about it, but it's one of those things where it's like, for a man, it's hard to hear that your wife isn't satisfied sexually, and then you go, well, geez, then it's all me, but it's not. It was a combination of what she was doing, what I was doing. And so it's like,
And
We don't-
external pressures. I mean, we
Yeah.
were raising children. We had a child with
Yeah.
a drug issue. We had 2 crazy businesses that we
Yeah.
were running,
so
yeah.
life got in the way of our sex life. Now it's
Now
not.
our sex life is in the way of our life.
Exactly.
Well, you guys, you made a choice, right?
Yeah.
And I'll keep coming back to that. You guys made a choice and you are working a plan,
Mhm.
And we're constantly changing that.
right?
Yeah.
Constantly changes and
Evolves,
evolves.
not
Yeah.
changes.
So we're
Love
totally anti being in a rut. We don't honor what we've always done it this way.
No.
All of that changes, and it changes us on the regular, because we don't have to be stuck with any particular narrative. We can do whatever serves us. And
Everybody
that's-
can.
Yeah,
Everybody can. You could change tomorrow. I mean, I did this in one day. It's just, it happens in one day.
We're
You
in our
can-
hippie phase right now.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
No, it's just
We're
life is
having fun.
too short to have terrible sex and to be with someone that you don't want.
Yeah.
Well, and to kind of piggyback off that, all relationships end. They end because someone dies or one or both parties wanted to live a different life, right? And if that is a reality, right, as morbid as some people might not want to, oh no, we're going to die holding hands at 95 together. I hope so. But, there's a lot of people that, it didn't end that way, right? You could meet your soulmate on a date and they could die 5 years later, and then what are you going to do at that point? You're going to decide that there's no one ever, you have to live your life single forever, or, do you want to go create something? So, that's what my takeaway from, this conversation and your podcasts was, make that choice, decide what you want, and then go after it.
100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. This is so fun. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. And I think that all of our clients will really, feel connected. So you guys download the podcast, Thou Shalt Not Kill, a podcast about marriage on, I'm assuming iTunes and all of it. And then, try to connect with these two on social media, follow what they've got going on. They are, I'll put the links, in this podcast, and then we will go from there.
Awesome.
What were we going to say?
If you're connecting with us through social media, just let us know that you're connecting from the podcast. Cause I don't know, I get really weird about the people I'm accepting anymore. So.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, whatever. Just don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm not. Just
He's
do whatever you want.
Okay, good. Well, have an amazing day, you lady.
Thank you so much for giving us a chance to talk to you.
We'd like to
share.
Have you on ours too.
Yeah, anytime.
It's so important that people, dating is such a crucial process. So yeah, and I love it. Thank you.